Hello and welcome to Cricket House Gaming. Here at Cricket House Gaming, we like to explore the gameplay of simulation games, usually through a series of Let's Plays. In this episode, we will continue to explore the gameplay of Democracy 4. Democracy 4 is a political sim that lets you choose the role of a world leader and govern a country. If this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, be sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here, welcome. And be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any future episodes. We are going to continue to explore our gameplay as Chancellor of Germany. When I hit that button, we will be entering the first term of our third year of our third term as Chancellor of Germany and a coalition government. Let's see how we did. Single-use plastic ban. There's an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. Look at the amount of plastic pollution in our water supply, our oceans, and even the air we breathe has led to calls from scientists to ban single-use plastics entirely to get the problem of plastic pollution under control. Ban single-use plastic. It's absolutely ridiculous. We allow companies to use plastic packaging that will be used only once, but will take maybe hundreds of years to break down, and even then may end up in our water supply. Other materials are available, and only government legislation will persuade companies to do the right thing and swap to more sustainable products. Allow single-use plastic. This sounds like an easy, crowd-pleasing change, but the impact on the industry would be massive. Like it or not, we got used to the idea of cheap, single-use plastic in many parts of our life. A ban would cause immense cost and regulatory hell for our small businesses and be an economic nightmare. Meanwhile, foreign companies will use them as normal. We will allow single-use plastic. The liberals are happy at plus 5%. The capitalists are happy at plus 5%. The environmentalists are unhappy at negative 8%. Situation in our data is showing we have a potentially bad situation. Real estate bubble on our hands if we do not act soon. Budget report. There's a budget deficit of 31.85 billion euro. We need to reduce spending or raise taxes. Polls report your approval rating is disappointing. If we believe the polls, you would get just 7% of the vote. Economic forecast. Good news. The global economy is doing well, and this is having a positive effect on our GDP. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as loyal. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be adequate. Security briefing. Our intelligence services report serious concerns about actions of an extremist religious groups who go by the name of Angels of Heavenly Justice. There is a moderate threat of violent attacks from this group in the near future. Sustainability Trust is a threat assessment of 2. Liberal League is a threat assessment of 2. Environmental Alliance is a threat assessment of 5. Diversity Alliance is the threat assessment of 1. Federation of Entrepreneurs is a threat assessment of 1. Rural Alliance is a threat assessment of 1. Angels of Heavenly Justice is a threat assessment of 6. True Patriots is a threat assessment of 2. True Patriots is a threat assessment of 2. Multicultural Warriors are a threat assessment of 2. Invisible Hand is a threat assessment of 2. Our security effectiveness is effective. We have 7 political capital to spend. I am concerned of the increase of threat assessment by our intelligence services. Let's see what we can do to invest in this. CCTV cameras. CCTV cameras can be a great help in catching criminals, and cameras can deter crime. The installation costs are extremely high, and there are concerns about civil rights from people who don't like to feel that the government is constantly watching them. This is 16% popular with the vote right now. We have a widespread cameras. We are going to invest 3 political capital to have cameras on every street corner. We will apply the changes. We have 4 political capital to spend. Tourism ad campaign. Tourism is not only a source of income for many people and businesses, it also strengthens foreign relations. This campaign will run in foreign countries, showing our most beautiful places, important sights to see, wonderful people to meet, tasty beers to drink, and maybe even throw in a few free tickets to museums and shows, all in the hopes of attracting more people to visit us. This is 50% popular with the vote. We are going to invest 1 political capital to lower this. We will apply the changes. We have 3 political capital to spend. Border Navy. Border walls cannot work in an ocean, so equivalent means deterring illegal immigration for islands and nations with extensive coastline is to invest in patrol boats that intercept and send back any ships carrying illegal immigrants. This is 6% popular with the vote. We will invest 3 political capital to lower this. This will return 0.36 billion euro to our government. We will apply the changes. We have 0 political capital to spend, and thus we are at the end of our first term of our third year of our third term as Chancellor of Germany and a coalition government. Let's hit that button. We will now be entering our second term of our third year of our third term as Chancellor of Germany and a coalition government. Let's see how we did. Squatters' rights. There is an urgent urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. A large empty house in one of the best neighborhoods of the capital has been taken over by homeless people. The house has been unused and empty for years, and the lawyers are now arguing over whether or not the squatters have a right to remain in the property. The landlord wishes to have them evicted. Give a property to squatters. If people have become so wealthy that they can own multiple houses and leave some empty, meanwhile having some citizens with nowhere to live, then it is only right and fair that these homes be put to good use. The landlord has obviously no need of the property for many years, and it should now legally given to the occupier. Evict the squatters. It's a dangerous precedent if you effectively hand someone's properties to thieves. If the owner is wealthy enough to have empty properties, then this is his decision. No one is preventing these squatters from saving up and buying a house legally, just like the landlord did. Send in the police and throw these people out. Evict the squatters. The socialists are unhappy at -12%. The capitalists are happy at +3%. The wealthy are happy at +17%. The poor are unhappy at -8%, and we're seen as compassionate at -10%. Budget report. There is a budget deficit of 30.90 billion euro. We need to reduce spending or raise taxes. Polls report. Polls do not look good. Our last poll put us at 2% of the vote in an election. Economic forecast. Good news. The global economy is doing well, and this is having a positive effect on our GDP. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as loyal. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be adequate. Our intelligence services report serious concern about the actions of extremist religious groups who go by the name of Angels of Heavenly Justice. There is a moderate threat of violent attacks from this group in the near future. Sustainability trust is a threat assessment of 3. Liberal League is a threat assessment of 3. The Environmental Alliance is a threat assessment of 8. Diversity Alliance is a threat assessment of 2. A Federation of Entrepreneurs is a threat assessment of 1. Rural Alliance is a threat assessment of 1. The Angels of Heavenly Justice is a threat assessment of 6. True Patriots is a threat assessment of 2. Multicultural Warriors is a threat assessment of 2. Invisible Hand is a threat assessment of 2. We have 6 political capital to spend. We're having a problem with our welfare minister. It will cost us no political capital to fire him. Let us fire him. Let's hire someone new for welfare minister. Problem is, we are in a coalition government, so whoever we hire for cabinet, we are not going to have a lot of political capital. But I'm thinking we are going to hire Hermione Pfeiffer for welfare minister. She will bring 0.8 political capital to our government. The foreign policy minister is unhappy with us now. We will fire him as well. It will cost us 0 political capital to do so. We will hire Leanne Seidel for foreign policy. She will bring 0.6 political capital to us. We now have an unhappy economy minister. We will fire her as well. We have nobody for economy that is suitable. Rosina Muller is 57% suitable for the economy minister. She will bring 0.5 political capital to us. We will hire Rosina Muller. We have 6 political capital to spend. We need to reduce spending or raise taxes. Family planning. Implement a program of family planning to improve sexual health in your country. Typical services include education, medical advice, contraception, distribution. This program will enable individuals to plan the number and spacing of their children. Family planning empowers women and reduces the number of babies born in poverty. This is 66% popular with the vote. We are going to invest 2 political capital to lower this, to reduce spending of our government. We will apply the changes. We have 4 political capital to spend. Arts subsidies. Investing public money in the arts is controversial with capitalists who see it as supporting uneconomic elitist entertainment. Others see it as vital to the country's culture, boosting our image on the world stage and attracting tourists. This is 89% popular with the vote. We will invest 2 political capital to reduce this, to bring some money back to our government. We will apply the changes. We have 2 political capital to spend. Disability benefit. A direct payment from the state to disabled people to allow for the fact that they are possible, unable, or need assistance to work. Additionally, many disabled people have a special requirement in terms of transport or housing. This is 100% popular with the vote. We will spend 2 political capital to reduce this. It will return 1 billion euro to our government. We will apply the changes. We have 0 political capital to spend, and thus we are at the end of the second term of our 3rd year of our 3rd term as Chancellor of Germany in a coalition government. Let's hit that button. We will now be entering our 3rd term of our 3rd year of our 3rd term as Chancellor of Germany in a coalition government. Let's see how we did. The GDP is down. Crime is down. Policy reversal. Voters have noticed your reversal of position regarding arts subsidies, and this has affected their perception of your trustworthiness. Women's March. march. Women have flooded the capital to march in protest against gender inequality. Women are underrepresented, undervalued, and underpaid in our country, comprising half of the electorate. This is a dangerous demographic to leave stirred into political action. Liberalism has increased to plus 10%. Internet crime. Instances of internet crime within our country have fallen dramatically and are no longer a major concern. Situation imminent. Our data is showing that we have a potentially bad situation, a social media addiction on our hands if we do not act soon. Budget report. There is a budget deficit of 30.54 billion euro. We need to reduce spending or raise taxes. Polls report. The polls do not look good. Our last poll put us at 2% of the vote in an election. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as supportive. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be adequate. We have 5 political capital to spend. Enterprise investment scheme. The enterprise investment scheme is a system which gives tax breaks to the wealthy individuals who invest their money in small startup companies which are based in this country. The scheme encourages investment in companies which should eventually grow and stimulate the economy, whilst at the same time giving a popular tax break to people who invest in them. Obviously, indirectly, the scheme is being subsidized by those without savings to invest, but 100% popular with the vote. We will be investing 2 political capital to increase this. We'll apply the changes. We have 3 political capital to spend. Congestion charging. In many large cities, the number of cars traveling in each day is simply unsustainable, although a fairly blunt instrument, simply charging through number plate recognition. Every vehicle that enters a city each day has proven to be an effective way to reduce congestion in extreme cases. This is 0% popular with the vote. We are going to spend 3 political capital to increase this. We will apply the changes. We have 0 political capital to spend, and thus we are at the end of our 3rd term, of our 3rd year, of our 3rd term as Chancellor of Germany in a coalition government. Let's hit that button. We will now be entering our 4th term of our 3rd year, of our 3rd term as Chancellor of Germany in a coalition government. Let's see how we did. Health is up. Crime is down. Airport expansion. There is an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. Planning permission has been requested for the expansion of some of our country's largest airports. There's simply not enough capacity for the number of flights that want to land here. Allow expansion plans. Our tourism industry is very dependent on air travel, and if we expand tourism, providing more jobs and growth in GDP, we must make more air capacity available. We need to act now to ensure that we have increased capacity in time. Reject plans. Air travel is a pollution nightmare. Both air and noise pollution cause problems, and we should not be encouraging air travel. Also, plans would mean the demolition of countless homes and vast inconvenience to people living near airports. Reject the plan. Delay decision. This is a tough decision, but frankly not one we must make this year. It may seem a bit indecisive, but we can just put this off for a while, maybe even until after the next election. No, we are going to allow expansion plans. The environmentalists are unhappy at -8%. Tourism goes up at +6%. Air travel increases at +11%. Offer from your coalition partner. There is an offer from your coalition partners which will provide us with much needed political capital if we accept this proposal. Cancel property tax would give us 12 extra political capital. We will accept the offer. Budget report. The government is currently running a budget deficit of 33.43 billion euro. We should take steps to reduce this. Polls report. Polls do not look good. Our last poll put us at 6% of the vote in an election. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as supportive. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be adequate. Economic forecast. Good news. The global economy is doing well, and this is having a positive effect on our GDP. Security briefing. The intelligence services report a growing concern about a relatively small extremist religious organization known as Angels of Heavenly Justice. We should keep a close eye on their activities. The Liberal League's threat assessment is a 2. The Environmental Alliance is a threat assessment of 2. The Federation of Entrepreneurs is a threat assessment of 1. Angels of Heavenly Justice is a threat assessment of 3. Freedom Rebellion is a threat assessment of 1. Multicultural Warriors are a threat assessment of 2. The Invisible Hand is a threat assessment of 2. Our security of effectiveness is effective. We have 18 political capital to spend. Tobacco tax. Despite the failure of tobacco companies to admit it, there is a good reason to believe that smoking has a negative effect on health. This is used as a justification for taxing tobacco. Cynics point out that the government benefits hugely from a tax on a product it is supposedly against. Health campaigners encourage the tax as a way to encourage a more healthy population. Presently, the tobacco tax is 47%. We will spend 8 political capital to increase the tobacco tax to 54%. We will raise 0.99 billion euro for our government. We will apply the changes. We have 10 political capital to spend. spend. Income tax. One of the most popular ways to raise money for the government is a direct tax on people's earnings deducted at the source by their employer. Income tax is generally a progressive tax. The wealthy pay more as a fraction of their income than the poor, and for this reason it is popular with socialists and the low paid. Presently, our income tax is at 20%. We will spend 9 political capital to increase the income tax to 29%. The income from this increase will be 65.40 billion euro. We will apply the changes. We have 1 political capital to spend. Healthy eating campaign. Through cooking shows, advertisement, and specials in newspapers and other media, people are encouraged to be aware of what they eat, what results unhealthy food are, and how to cook a good meal. This raises the overall health of the people while reducing obesity. This is 50% popular with the vote. We have an obesity problem in our country. We will invest 1 political capital to increase this. We will apply the changes. We have 0 political capital to spend, and thus we are at the end of our 4th term, of our 3rd year, of our 3rd term as Chancellor of Germany in a coalition government, and thus we are at the end of this episode. Thank you so much for stopping by our Cricket House. If you like what you saw, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to follow our future episodes. It really helps us out. Have a great week. See you soon.